Well, as the music said, this is it. It's the men's final of the IBF World Championships here in Dubai 2021. Korea taking on the USA. And as we've just seen, the Korean ladies team in the trios have just been victors and are the new world champions. Now, I'm very privileged to be joined in the commentator position tonight by the PBA Tour Commissioner, that's Mr. Tom Clark. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm great. It is fantastic to be here. I'm so excited for this match. These are two of the best teams in the world, and they're gonna go at it, and it's gonna be exciting.
Well, we can see that the way that Korea started their semi-final, they came out in an incredibly fast rate of knots, and the US team are going to be looking to. Here we go. The USA team are doing what they do best, a bit of camaraderie and looking to get that gold medal position to be the new world champions. What are you've experienced these kind of matchups before, Tom? Tell me what you're expecting again.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I've seen, I've had a front row seat for some of the greatest bowling, in the history of the sport. And I'll tell you that the greatest match that I have ever seen in person was at the World Championships in Thailand. I believe it was 2006, and it was these two teams, USA versus Korea. It was a five-man team match. Every player bowled up. All five players bowled a full game, and the match ended up tied. And it went to a roll-off, and Rhino Page of the United States won the roll-off, and the U.S. won that match. But I'll tell you, it was the most intense and the most fired up I've ever seen a bowling match get. And so now we get to see this next generation of players, and I know they know about that match.
Yeah.
They know the history of these two countries in bowling. Wow, and we've got to start where the USA just took a fast lead. The two lefties led off, if you noticed. The young lefty for Korea and Jacob Buttriff for the United States led off. Jacob struck. Korea goes right through the nose for a split.
We're going to be seeing some great action, of course. This is the culmination of tonight's events, and we are absolutely over the moon with what we've seen so far in these great performances by all of the bowlers. We've had the para singles finals, men's and women's, the women's, of course, trio finals, but now we finish off with the men's. It's Team Korea taking their position.
And I'm obviously very familiar with the United States team because there are 4 stars on the PBA Tour. 3 of them, Jacob, Andrew, and Chris Prather, are major champions. So they've had great success on the Pro Tour. Now, the thing that's interesting about Korea is U.S. goes for 2 in a row to take a big lead.
Yeah, big lead already.
They say that a professional move is double on top of your opponent's open, and they just did it. But Korea is one of the countries that has not really moved to the U.S. in singles competition and bowled PBA events. They have come to a couple of PBA World Series and done very well. But for the most part, unlike other countries like Sweden, where you see Jesper Svensson, and Finland, where you see Asku or Mika or a lot of players, Dom Barrett from England, that have come to the United States, and so they get to know the U.S. players. The Koreans do not do that. So this is the one time that you're going to see this clash between these two great countries.
It's kind of the East meets West in the world of bowling, in a way.
That's right.
And of course, they generally keep their bowling performances into that part of the world. And AJ is back up. AJ Johnson, who was alongside me last night. He's the character of the US team by the looks of it, Tom.
Yes, and AJ would be, most people consider him the best player on tour that has not won a title.
Okay.
So not the best player on tour, but the best without a title. So he's a player that has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Now, I sat with him last night as we were announcing the winners and the new world champions, and he said to me, Lee, that my hair on my arm and the back of my neck is standing up. I so desperately want to be a world champion.
Yes, he wants every win that he can get because he's overdue to get a PBA title, but he's racked up a lot of other types of victories. And being on the Team USA and winning with these guys would mean the world to him and his family back home.
AJ shooting there, superb performance there from AJ.
This pair of lanes has actually held up pretty well, and the pattern has been pretty consistent with what we saw back at the bowling center through all of these finals and semifinals that have happened on this special build outdoors here. So the players have now become used to these surroundings. They're very unique, but they're comfortable now and able to just compete.
Well, this was the thing, actually getting used to it, wasn't it? When the court was put down, when the track was put down, the lane was put down in these kind of dry conditions, but it gets a bit more humid at night time, and the lanes get a little bit sticky, a little bit harder to bowl on.
Yeah.
And they've taken their time to get used to it, but they have done a great job now.
The biggest problem is the footing. When there's a lot of humidity, the players can't slide as well as they're used to. But I have not seen really anyone have a major problem here today. Today it's a little cooler than yesterday when the humidity did cause a lot of bad footing problems.
And we're looking at, of course, our crowd who are here with us live in Dubai. The time just up to 11:30 p.m. in the evening. And the
that is a big miss by Korea right there. That's an unforced...
You would have expected that to be nailed,
that's
yeah?
an unforced error. That's a makeable spare. And
we're going to run through the teams right now as we see, of course, Team USA. We've got Chris Braver, we've got Jacob Butteroff, we've got AJ Johnson and Andrew Anderson. Bowling for Korea, we've got Gun Ji, we've got Jae Vak Go, we've got Sun Jong Kai, sorry, and Hee Won Kang performing for them tonight. Team US around force, of course, you've got the new para IBF men's singles champion in your ranks in Team USA, Tom.
That was fun to watch. That was definitely fun to watch.
Great performance there by Team USA, and of course.
And I'm Switzerland now when it comes to USA or any other countries. The PBA Tour has so many international players that when it's countries bowling against each other, I have players from the PBA that are on other countries' teams, and I have no favorites. No favorites. No favorites.
Okay, you're going to be in trouble whatever you say, basically.
That's right. That's right. I'm just more familiar with the U.S. guys. I really am interested in that young man that you just saw from Korea. I'm not sure his age, but I know he's a teenager, and I'll tell you, he throws the ball phenomenal, and he's the type of kid that could do a lot. He can do a lot of damage.
We just saw the young lady from the ladies team as well, the lead out lady in that team. She was throwing strike down after strike. She was incredible as well, wasn't
she?
You
know, when you move into a setting like this, besides the talent and the intelligence that it takes to be a great bowler, you need to be the type of personality that can handle the stage. And you could tell that leadoff bowler for the Korean women's team, she loves the stage. She loves the camera.
She does, yeah, she does.
And I think this young man has those same qualities.
Tom, we're going to look at the scores on the screen there. Of course, from your...
USA, commanding lead. Okay. And obviously this is race to 2, so you got to win 2 games. So Korea knows, hey, even if we're going to lose this game, we're going to try to get lined up for the next game, because if they can win the next game, they'll be able to force the roll off for the victory. The match isn't over, especially after a double. They're 32 pins behind the U.S. It's not over, but right now, sometimes you're looking ahead to the next game, even while you're bowling the first game.
Wow, that's how advanced we all are. There he is, the man himself with us here, AJ Johnson, taking his place on the lane.
AJ is one of the strongest athletes in competitive bowling. Works out every day religiously. Pulled that shot. He looked like he's actually maybe a little too far right with his feet on that lane. The lane may be breaking down a little bit. They had a few minutes of practice. There's been a lot of bowling tonight. even with the re-oil, sometimes the friction can take over, and it looks like either he has a ball that's hooking too much and he wants the ball down, or he wants to move a little bit left, or he might have simply just pulled that shot.
So what would you do as a bowler now, Tom? What would you kind of be looking at? Would you be looking, okay, right, when do you decide that it's time to switch out the ball and change the ball, or when do you kind of look to make any other adjustments?
You have to know if you threw it well yourself. So that's why they practice so much. They practice so much so that they're a machine, and they're going to do the perfect thing. So if they do the perfect thing themselves and they don't get the right reaction, they immediately have to move. But if they know that they themselves failed on a shot, then they have to say to themselves, do I just need to do it better next time? And so you have to make that quick decision. But this is such a fast match for a gold medal that you've got to make a fast decision. You can't get stuck. This young man missed last time up, so you see, we'll be able to see how he comes back from that.
See if it affected his confidence at all. AJ there taking out the spare option there. The ball that AJ just bowled a minute ago. We'll come back to that in a second. And
six pin.
Yep, even that 6 pin up. The pace that AJ got that spare with a moment ago, the ball raced in front of us. You could hear it coming down here, and to like the noise of the ball. It was angry, wasn't it?
yeah. I mean, the first way I was going to answer your question about, I would never tell AJ how to bowl.
Do you know, he was sitting in this seat where you are now, and I patted him on the back like I've just done to you, and my hand hurt.
How did it feel when you hit mine? A little mushy, a little
No comment, Your Honour. No comment at all. We shall refrain from that one. There we see the Koreans feeling the heat. The fans are out.
Yeah, that's just a whole other level. Now here you go, Jacob. When Jacob gets going, he's got a striking machine.
Unusual ball holding technique.
Yeah, he is. We think of him as the most unique player on the PBA Tour. No, he's double jointed, and he's able to throw the ball in ways that we really have never seen before. He comes around it, and a lot of people point out, see how he spun that ball?
Did he actually
put his fingers in the ball? Yeah, his fingers are in the ball.
Okay,
but he creates an axis rotation that's, you know, almost impossible to mimic. And I always hear a lot of people say, well, he uses one type of bowling ball and that's why he's good. It's just not true. He's a unique player that can make anything work. He just happens to have access and make the right decisions when it comes to equipment, but he can make anything work.
Well, listen, I suppose all the equipment's out there for everybody to use, isn't it? You know, you can get access to all sorts of things. It's like, you know, you can with all sports these days.
30-pin lead, both on a strike, heading into the final 3 frames.
Well, of course, with these wonderful scoring system, of course, with the IBF World Championships, we're seeing fast action. And
big messenger. That thing slapped. Wait till you get the replay on that. How many of these have you seen where the pin just flies off the back wall and takes out? Watch this head pin fly to the wall, come all the way back and take out that 10 pin.
Well, there was Clark bowling, Clark commentating, and Clark co-commentating. All 3 of us Clarks in that particular performance. So I think we should take some credit to that, Tom.
That's right.
Really coming back, can they come back? Yeah, they do. They come back with that strike.
Man, they don't quit. They had a bad start, and the U.S. pounced on it, but you know the U.S. is not taking anything for granted. This team's tough.
Do you see a time when you might see more of the Korean team players coming to the States as individuals, or more that they will be indoctrinated into more of the formats that you guys play?
Well, they have a lot of opportunities in Korea, and so they make those decisions for themselves based on their national team. They have some professional bowling as well. And so they have a lot of options. We've had people come over and have success in the PBA, but I wish they would come over. There's been a few through the history of bowling that I know would have been competitive regularly on the PBA tour, and the players all know that too. Korea is probably the most underrated country in the U.S. We don't really realize it because we see a lot of players come from other countries, obviously Australia, Europe, South America, and we don't see that many from Korea. We've seen a lot from Japan come over and do fairly well, but Korea is the most underrated for big bowling fans in the U.S. They're getting a chance today to see that, wow, there's a lot of talent over there.
There certainly is, and of course that time may come in the not too distant future. As AJ there's looking to pick up his spare, we're just waiting for a few minutes adjustments for AJ.
Oh, really?
Ah, right, okay. So behind us, there's a soccer ball. A football just come over the top of the stands. And, right, somebody punctured that ball. Don't give it them back.
Okay, this is a huge shot for AJ. Okay.
It's the angry ball again. Did you hear it come
yeah,
past?
It's rolling. Yeah, that was actually rolling on the thumb hole a little bit, which isn't perfect roll, but yeah.
Okay. You can hear that as the ball rolls.
Well, if it rolls over the thumb hole, you can hear a little bit of duk 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 duk.
Yeah.
But if it's smooth on the ball, you wouldn't hear that.
Okay. So does that mean what can you tell? What can you gain from that? From AJ's?
It's just the way. It's just the angle of his wrist and releasing that ball is just creating a roll that makes the roll so close to the finger holes. That's all.
So Team Korea coming in to play, of course, this United States of America leading the way at the moment. Two pins.
He's struggling a little bit. I think that's going to lock up this first game. If we could see the score, I think that's going to lock up this first game for the U.S.
We'll have a quick look at this one. And of course, this is a race to two. And of course, if U.S. go on to do what they're currently doing and win this game, one more game and they will be the new world champions. And surrounding me, of course, is a lot of US talent here, and I think they'll be very happy about that.
The US haven't won any golds yet. They're used to winning a lot. They haven't won one yet. So other than the Paralympics.
Other than the
Paralympics,
yep. We have your first one in the bag. And of course that was a great victory earlier on. Of course, super performance from Eddie Hutchins. Of course, Eddie is now the new world para singles man champion, so well done to him.
Oh, and Jacob just ices it. So now they're just getting ready for the next game.
Yeah,
and everybody stays on the same lane. So they're going to stay on this same. Both teams are going to be on the same lane. They know these lanes now by heart, so they know exactly what they need to do next game. And both teams are going to. Honestly, they're going to expect and demand themselves to strike every single ball. And if they don't, you're going to see disappointment.
Oh, clinical. Now you're kind of getting, it's not like you're showing off, you're warming up, and as you said, getting ready for that second game. If you can keep these performances going, it's going to keep the pressure on Team Korea. Let's see, this is the young man from Korea you really like?
Yes. Yeah. His score, the score really means nothing. It's just winning.
Wow.
Because there's no carryover to the next game. The pins don't move over. It's not a total pins. It's just win the game. So now it wouldn't matter if the USA won that game by 100 pins. The next game, if they lost by 1 pin, we're going to a roll-off. So 235 for the U.S. The best that Korea can do is 204, and then we move on to the next game.
So there you have it, all over by the shouting. Korea will finish off their balls, and then we will be moving on to the next game. If it goes the way it has with the first, the U.S. will be the new world champions of the trios. We'll find out momentarily. Tom, I asked this question before. I know you need a final score, but when the U.S. have got a score and Korea can't obviously get to that score, why do they carry on and bowl the extra
because
balls?
he's gaining knowledge right here.
Okay.
I mean, the next game, he's gaining knowledge for himself and his teammates. There's other left-hander on his team, and he's able to use this time to be able to maybe try something different.
Bit of practice going, I think,
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, by getting into this position and by telling people it's a full game match, you're essentially saying you can utilize time during that match to gather information for the next game.
Well, there you go, fair comment there, and that's probably one of the best reasons.
This is a new thing, these LEDs. I've never seen that before.
Well, yeah, no, we've had it all the way through. We've had various messages. We are hoping that these are wonderful, nice messages in Korean. Can you imagine if it says something untoward? I'm sure, obviously, it doesn't, because Korean people are absolutely wonderful. Right. But yeah, there's apps for your phone. My son does it when he wants his breakfast in the morning. He kind of shouts and like holds it out of the bedroom door.
I think hers just said, "Put a Korean in the booth." I don't know.
Yeah, what, in place of me, you mean? Thanks for that.
Oh, no, so they've changed the lineup, right?
Oh, they switched out, have they?
Yeah, remember the other left-hander for Korea? I'm sorry, I don't know his name. He struggled. Took him out, put him in.
So the guy with the glasses at the back with the
and he's disciplined. Now that's very difficult to come off.
Well, you warmed up in the warm-up, and then you chilled down again, and then you're expected to come out and perform.
Absolutely, that is a difficult position to be in. I feel for him. He's a clutch bowler. I've seen this guy perform. He's really good. But
well, we saw him in the semi-finals as well. He was actually he did a great job for Team Korea in that match. Unusual to change, you think, for the final when you had a winning combination?
I think it's a bold move, but I think that the other lefty for Korea just was struggling with that inside line. He missed a spare. And so they're just saying to themselves, the first strategy they had, which was go with two lefties, they've decided to go the other way now. This young man, Chris Prather, is one of the greatest physical games that I've ever seen. See how solid he is at the line? Oh my goodness, that's the worst break right there in bowling. That's just a stone 9-pin. That was a perfect shot. Look at that form, perfect. Right through the pins, dead perfect, goes straight through the 5-pin and by the 9. And watch his reaction. Come on, man.
9 times out of 10 that would have gone, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, more 9 times out of 10.
I'd say 9.5 out of 10. Yeah.
Just to put it precisely, as we do in this school. There we go, getting his spare.
So now they're even after one frame. I watch these matches almost by frame and just say 1-to-1, 1-to-1 in marks. And when there's a double, it's like 2 marks, and when there's a miss, there's no marks. And I just kind of watch by frame to see what the general direction of the match.
Tom, when you're watching games like this, can you see when there's a shift in
3 lefties? They had 3 lefties in the first game. Sorry,
that's okay. Yep. In the power battle, can you see? Obviously the United States have won that first game. Can you see if there's ever a change in, positivity from the other team that's affecting the opposite team?
Well, sometimes you can. I don't notice it here. I just think that there was a bold move to make a lineup change by Korea, but I think that sometimes when you've won the first game, there's a certain level of confidence that you can't lose here, but you need to keep your edge and stay aggressive. You have to stay aggressive and try to end it right here. And so, and I think that these PBA bowlers are sort of used to this format now. We've used this kind of format in the PBA playoffs. We've used it in what we call our PBA League, which is a team event, where it's a race to 2 with a 9th and 10th frame roll-off. And that same type of format now has moved over into international play.
And how are the players enjoying this, Tom, from what you've heard from the conversations you've had? Are they liking this format and this World Championships here in Dubai?
I think that anytime you're invited to compete and represent your country, you have to maintain a completely positive attitude and embrace every challenge thrown at you. What I've noticed is there's all new things this year, new formats, new locations, new outdoors bowling, new finals. Everything is really new. And yet what I've really admired and been inspired by is this level of focus. Look how late they're bowling here tonight. And their level of focus has not come down, and you can't be whining, complaining, worrying about things and maintain that level of focus. Focus is the most important thing in bowling.
It certainly is. I'll give an insight onto that, Tom. We'll just watch AJ take his shot.
See how he changed ball? Yeah. Oh, and see, now unlike
There we go. AJ's in town.
Unlike Chris Prather, who got ripped off, he got a good break. You saw that AJ did all the things that we said after his last shot went high. He changed balls. He moved a little bit left. He got it a little bit right. And it wasn't a great shot, but he crumbled that 2-8. And that's the opposite reaction of Chris.
Oh, there you go, sir. There you go. Korea, though, back into the action. What are we going to see here from them perform?
Oh, and he gets his own
gets
trip
his lucky
4.
break.
That's called a trip 4. And they're not going away. They're not going away.
Yeah, they keep knocking at that door. They still keep coming. They haven't gone anywhere. A quick question: are we seeing here, of course, the lateness of as you mentioned, of the tournament coming up to 10 to midnight. With a normal competition game, what time are bowlers normally competing till? Tom, would they normally need to?
On the PBA Tour, normally the finals of an event will stand alone on one day and be in the afternoon or maybe in prime time, but you just kind of get ready for that all day, and it's one championship round. But we've had several events where we've had multiple tournaments going on at once, like at the World Series of Bowling, and ended up bowling late into the night. And so, I've always found the players to be extremely resilient.
Wow, that one was good all the way from the get-go. Now we're going to have a quick look at the score.
Yeah, there we go.
Right,
there we go.
There we go, Tom.
All right, this match is all even. It's dead even.
Okay.
And dead even, and the USA needs to strike here to keep it even.
Okay.
If they don't strike, Korea's in the lead and will be able to force that roll-off. If this thing goes to a roll-off, I don't know if I can handle it. That's nerve-wracking. A 9th and 10th.
Here's your man. Oh,
Jacob on top of it.
Jacob comes back. Now,
so that was the 6th frame. That was the 6th frame, right?
Jacob had a little. The semi-finals had a little bit of a slower start, and he seems to be cooking on gas. We say in the United Kingdom, he's doing a great job for his team, and we are level. We are even. Nerves, slight changing of footwear. I can see a number of the players just doing some work on their shoes.
Oh, you're seeing some crumblers now. Both teams have their women's team given a lot of support. That's another strike.
Oh yes, there we go, Korea. Ji-Jen, they're looking fabulous, and the girls who are the world champions themselves.
So the U.S. needs a strike here to stay even.
This is where it is. Let's see if they don't get this. This is where the pressure comes in. Here's the man. I'm not going to say a word.
He'll let you know if he strikes.
I think you might be right.
We're still even.
And he did, you're right. He certainly let them know that was a strike.
By the way, did you hear how smooth that ball sounded going back? Because it wasn't on the phone.
He's obviously listening to our commentary, realizing that we picked him up. Well, you picked him up on that, not me. So you're in the heart of the Dubai Expo 2020 site in the Sports, Wellness and Fitness Hub. And we're still live, and there's football matches, soccer matches going on, there's concerts around the venue, but we're at the IBF World Championships in Dubai.
He tripped a 4 last time. Let's see if he moved a little. Oh, he flushed it. When he tripped a 4, that meant he went a little high on the pocket. So I would guess that he may have moved just a little bit to the left with his feet in order to compensate for that high hit, and that was just dead flush. So now the U.S. has got to strike again in the 7th to keep it even.
It is that kind of.
I told you, they're thinking they need to strike every single ball in this thing.
Well, it's going to be that. It's going to be that that format. I mean, Korea actually, just as we watch this for a moment.
Chris Prey, he pulled it. Oh, and it sets, and he gets the 410, falls out. He deserved it after that 9-pin. But when he let that ball go, watch his reaction. He knew he missed right in the heads. He missed. He pulled it, but it held just enough to trip that 410. Wow, we're still even going to the 8th.
The bowling gods are with him tonight. They certainly are. Right, so
this young man, I would never want to bowl this guy. He's like a machine.
Now,
boom, another one. This is what I told you. You're gonna. When U.S. and Korea meet,
yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
There's history here. There's history here. Well, the Korean team in the semi-finals only missed one strike. It was a 9. I think it was a 7-2 ball that they got. Everything else was a strike in their semi-finals. Seeing them through here.
Both teams here have 290 off the sheet, and if they tie,
let's have a look at this one.
Nope, they're not going to tie, most likely, because, all right, so now Korea has taken the lead. U.S. was 169 in the 6th, and the best now the best that the U.S. can do is 189, 209, 269, and Korea has 290 off the sheet.
So if they continue on this,
Korea's got the game in their control if they continue to strike.
And then we go to that roll off.
And that's a huge error, unforced error, a gasp from the crowd.
Well, I think the gasp.
And what we've got right here is a situation where Korea is going to win. I would be shocked if Korea doesn't hold on and win this game 2, which means we're going to a roll-off for that gold medal. But they still have to perform, but it's very unlikely they don't come through now.
You can see the tension etched across the guys' faces here. AJ there giving a moment of support to his teammate.
Jacob has had problems with the 7-pin in the past. Oh, almost a 7-10. So he leaves a 7-pin of his own.
So what we're looking at here, prospects, as you called it a moment ago, of that roll-off happening. Korea have forged ahead here with a couple of misses there for the US team, but it's not certain yet.
It's not certain yet. If he does what Jacob just did,
yeah,
he opens the door a little bit. But if he makes this spare, again, becomes highly unlikely that Korea could lose this game. Ooh. Just kind of got it on the inside.
Just got it in, stuck in the back door, as we like to say. But
so they're ahead by 22 pins in the 8th frame, Korea, and the U.S. U.S. needs to punch out for 257, which would force them to mark. Force them to high count.
So, the man who likes the pressure, the man who likes the glory, the man who liked to be a world champion, is up on the lane for Team USA.
AJ's lined in.
He is. He's dialed in. He's lined in, and he's making it count.
They're not done. I mean, I may have put a fork in them a little early, but they're not done. But I just have a lot of confidence that Korea will perform in the 10th.
So looking at this now, as we see it here, we've got a position where what do Korea need to do now to steal this game away from the US?
Well, we need to see the scoreboard here. Let's see for sure. If they get this.
Well, we'll get the scores up for you in a minute, Tom, to have a look at and see how we go. Here we go.
Boom, that's big. That's pretty much it. So that gives them, I think, 239 in the 9th without being able to see the official score sheet. It's 239 in the 9th, and that's going to give them at least about 258. And the best that
the best the U.S. can do, I think, is 257. So if he gets this one, it's over. If he gets 9, it's over.
Okay.
So 9 on this, if my calculations are right, without seeing the official scoring, here we go. So if he gets 9 spare, he'll be 259. The best the USA can do is 257. So a 9 will do it.
So anything less than that, the US is still in.
We'll have a chance.
Yeah, have a chance. Let's see. Before we go to that dreaded roll-off.
He strikes it. Oh, he pulled it a little, I think. He gets it. It's over. So they're going to win this game. So the U.S. is going to use the 10th frame to gain some knowledge, and get ready for that roll-off in the 9th and 10th.
So anybody who is watching us tonight, we are live and interactive for you from the heart of Dubai's Expo 2020 site. The IBF World Championships is coming to you. And of course it is, you know, we're having fun and games. There's 2 minutes to midnight here at Expo 2020. Might even get locked in for the night, Tom. We could be here just sleeping on the lanes, you never know.
For sure. Why not?
They do delivery pizza around here, so we could get a pizza delivery.
Boy, what a really bold substitution by the Korean coach to go with that young man, put him in the leadoff spot, and have him throw the 10th frame. And he came through big time. Chris Prather had 1 bad break in this game, 1 lucky break. But okay, we're going to move to a 9th and 10th. And I'm trying to get the rules on if the coach is able to decide who bowls the 9th and who bowls the 10th.
Okay.
And then it'll be really interesting to see who is selected to represent their teams in that critical 9th and 10th frame.
So we've got all this situation here now, where we see Korea about to be receiving of that game point to take it to 1-all, and of course the roll-off about to happen.
Chris just finishing out that game. See, they're discussing it right now. Who's going to bowl?
So this is where it gets technical.
Oh, I thought he was going to announce that.
Now we've seen America take the first game. We've seen Korea come back with the second, and this great action shot there.
Wow.
That's known in bowling terms as the bowling praying mantis. So I've just called it anyway.
That was like a magic trick.
So, technical side of it here, the US team are getting together to decide.
Who would you go with? I think AJ, you got to go with AJ, and I would say, I guess you go with Prather. I don't know, Buttriff was strong, but that miss may have gotten into his head, and maybe they don't want to go with him. So it'll be interesting to see who they choose. On the Korean side, I mean, I would go with the young lefty who I keep raving about, and probably the guy who just struck out in the 10th to ice the win. Kirk Von Kruger, the tournament director, I believe, is going to make the announcement here.
Okay, there he is, just at the bottom of your screen, just walking across here at the moment. And yeah, you know, basically for me, here we go.
Oh. It looks like Jacob is going to go first. So you got Jacob in the 9th.
Concentration here as we get to the final stages of this World Champions Trio match.
Oh, and he mixes them up, and he gets a strike on one of the biggest shots he's probably ever thrown in his life from a pressure standpoint. When you're representing your country and your teammates, and a gold medal is going to come down to just 2 frames, that's the most pressure you can have in this sport.
Especially after missing that spare in the previous game as well. You know,
Good
that
point.
must have been really on his mind, and to come up and do that and nail it like that.
And here he is, the guy we talked about.
And I'm not surprised that he's leading off and bowling this 9th frame for Korea.
So Korea coming through to this one, of course. Gunji
playing deep. Flush, perfect. We're even and we go to a 10th frame. Let's see who's going to be the player that bowls this 10th frame and decides the gold medal for both teams.
So this is going to be it. So tell me a little bit about the kind of what we could see, what could happen, what has to happen to win.
There's a lot of combinations of what can happen. AJ is going to throw it, like we talked about. If AJ spares, then if Korea gets up and strikes in their first ball, Korea is going to win. If AJ strikes on his first ball, then obviously Korea will need to strike on their first ball. This shot will determine how the entire thing goes.
Right, so the man who was sitting next to me last night for about 4 or 5 hours stands with destiny in his own hands. AJ Johnson for Team USA. What will happen here?
Perfect shot.
Perfect shot from
He gets the
AJ.
first one in the 10th. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to alternate shots in the 10th or if he's going to finish the frame first. I'm actually not sure. Let's see what happens here. Looks to me like AJ will finish the frame and then Korea will go, and they'll know exactly what they need to do. Unless he's waiting right now for Korea.
Unless
No, he's getting back on.
He's getting back up.
on
Yeah,
that.
he is.
All right, so for example, if AJ strikes out, then Korea must strike out to tie and go to another roll-off. If AJ does anything other than strike out, Korea will have the opportunity to win this match.
So here we go. AJ back again with destiny in his hands. We said it in the last ball. We're saying it again. Oh, he's done it.
It got a little bit further right, a little bit further right, but he just pointed at it and said, "You did what you were supposed to do. Knock them all down." And now he knows this fill ball's huge because he puts the ultimate pressure on his opponent if he can strike it right here.
I said to him last night, what would it mean to you to win the World Championships? And I can't tell you, as well as the hairs on the back of his neck and the head on his hand, it was the emotion. He was almost shaking with the thought, and you could see that to him here. So there we go. There's the Korean team. They know they're up against it. AJ's on fire at the moment, and the Korean team are literally, it's out of their control. But they could match it, obviously. Let's see what happens here as the final moments of the IBF World Championships men's trio finals comes to a close. On the lane, AJ Johnson. What are we going to see? 2 strikes already.
Oh no, 7. So they end with 57 for their total. That means if Korea gets up and gets the first 2, they're going to have an odds-on percentage chance of getting more than 7 on their last ball. But they must strike first on their first ball. It's going to be 1 at a time for Korea. We'll see who's going to throw it. I'm sure it'll be the sorry, I'm really, I'm sorry I don't know their names.
Gunji, I think
Gunji will most likely be throwing these balls. He's a clutch player.
So if he doesn't make this...
There he is. He's got to strike. Must strike. Ooh, must strike situation. He got the first one. Now this next one's a must strike situation as well. He's got to have this one. And if he gets this one, all he needs is 8, 9, or 10 on his fill ball. So one more.
Hee-Won Kang is the man who we're talking about here. Hee-Won Kang, great shot. Hee-Won Kang is the man who has just put Korea still in with an opportunity. So again, he must strike out here, Tom.
He must strike here, then either 8, 9, or 10 on the last shot to win. This is the most important shot.
The crowd know it. Team USA know it.
He pulled it, and he's not getting a mix, and the U.S. has won.
The U.S. are the world champions. Team USA have done it. AJ Johnson, sorry. Oh, I'm getting carried away with the guys tonight. Chris Prather, Jacob Butteruff, and Andrew Anderson. They are the world champions, the IBF World Champions, the trio.
And I don't know about you, but I just got goosebumps
all over
my arm. That's what bowling can do. It's the most exciting sport that's ever been invented. You feel for Korea, you feel for that young man, but he was there for a reason. He's a clutch, great player.
Well, you know what? I was privileged to sit next to that guy last night. He knew what it would mean to him if he won. He did what he needed to do under the most extreme pressure, Tom. And congratulations to not only Team USA, who are now the world champions again, let me say that, but congratulations to Korea, who put up an amazing, amazing competition, didn't they?
Great. It was great to be here with you for that match. Was that fun? That was awesome.
That was brilliant.
That was awesome.
Amazing. Well, don't forget, the medal ceremonies will take place here in Dubai tomorrow afternoon at 20 to 5 in the afternoon before we get on to the teams games. But from Tom Clark, the tour commissioner of the PBA, and myself, we're going to just cut over to some of the wonderful highlights. There he is, AJ Johnson. Let's have a look at his face. Oh, what a gone! There he is. You know, we sat here last night and we didn't just talk bowling. We kind of talked man. We talked life. And we talked about the woes that we all had and the struggles we had in our life. And AJ literally opened up to me last night, and something very personal. And, you know, I'm so pleased for that man. I'm so pleased for him and his teammates. And well done to everybody who's been here tonight. It's been a great crowd. And tears in the eyes of some of the American team as they are now, as I said, crowned the world champions. So as I said, they'll be receiving their medals here in Dubai tomorrow afternoon at 20 to 5 before we get underway with the team's championships. But we're going to leave you now with the sights and sounds of the brand new IBF World Champions of Dubai 2021, Team USA.